Happy Sunday to all my people, and welcome to Stoniecast number 102 and season 3, episode 34, and the season finale of Thoughts and Hunches, Making Money in Bunches and Sucker Punches. It's your boy Stony back for the 102nd time, and I'd like to welcome all of my fellow hustlers, scumbags, lowlifes, hoodlums, cheats, altar boys with unhealthy relationships with their priests, foul-mouthed raging alcoholics with abusive language, fienders, and degenerates. If you're new to the show, hey, you probably fit into one or more of those categories, so welcome. And make sure to hit the subscribe button down here in the lower right-hand corner, so this way you can get notified every time I put out a new video. To spread the word is very easy. Just tell other scumbags to go to YouTube and enter hashtag STONIE'S winners. That's not STONEY, but it's STONIES winners. Just like it says down here in the bottom left, right next to my picture. That'll take you directly to my page. Now, before we get to the picks for tomorrow, I have some thoughts. Last night, the Final Four was exactly what we could have hoped for. I mean, let's face it. The San Diego State-Florida Atlantic game, which was billed as the undercard to the main event, turned out to be the main event in itself. San Diego State came out like gangbusters early on, but FAU went off for the next 20 minutes, taking a 7-point lead at halftime before pushing it to 14 with about 15 minutes left. Everything FAU did was working. Their defense was very good, slowing down San Diego State. But all that changed as San Diego State pecked away, tied it with a few minutes left, and won it with a buzzer beater for the ages as the buzzer sounded while the ball was in the air. It was precisely the type of game that puts the madness in March Madness. And even though I was on the losing side, taking SDSU minus 2.5, I still jumped out of my chair and went crazy when Lamont Butler's jumper fell through. In the nightcap, a.k.a. the headliner, between Connecticut and Miami, we had a good ball game for the first 10 minutes, but UConn's defense started to take over, and Miami's lack of defense cost them dearly as the Huskies got hot and just cruised to an easy double-digit win. As for my picks, personally, not the greatest Saturday night for me, as I missed both sides of Game 1, with Florida Atlantic lighting it up in the first half, pushing the game over the total, and San Diego State got the win at the horn, but didn't cover. The nightcap gave me a split, as I had Miami, which didn't work, but the under hit easily. I was 4-2 heading into Sunday for the week, so now at 500 for the week at 5-5. I'll need to hit both sides tomorrow night in order to close the season with 19 consecutive winning weeks. The numbers, they show up this week, 5-5, 50%. NCAA postseason overall, 220 wins, 153 losses, 2 pushes, good for 58.98%. The 1-3 last night pushed us down below 59%, which, whatever, it is what it is. And overall, every single pick I've given you for all 34 videos this season, 860 wins, 583 losses. Let me do that again. 860 wins, 583 losses, and 14 pushes. That's 59.6%. That's solid. It doesn't match our 61% of last year, but at 59.6, I will take that every single year. You're welcome. Once again, let me remind you that every single one of these picks are 100% free from me to you. And we've done some serious bankroll building this season in giving you all of those over 1,400 picks. Like I said above, in order to make it 19 consecutive weeks to close out the season, I'll need to hit both sides tomorrow. But even if I miss both sides, it was still a great run. So with all that said, let's go. Tomorrow night's national championship game at NRG Stadium in Houston, Texas. It tips at 9:20 Eastern, and Connecticut's a 7.5-point favorite over San Diego State with the total set at 132.5. Connecticut felt like they were slighted with a number 4 seed in the West, and they've been making all of their opponents pay for it ever since. The West region was the toughest region, clearly, and UConn navigated their way through with wins over Iona, St. Mary's, Arkansas, Gonzaga, and last night over Miami. Their win last night was by 13, and that was the closest call the Huskies have had during the last 2.5 weeks. I mean, that's just scary. Coach Dan Hurley's recruits, along with the transfer portal, have come together and will only be deeper next year. Speaking of deep, UConn and San Diego State have the 2 deepest rosters in the nation. Connecticut plays 8 players at least double-digit minutes, and Hurley goes 10 deep with fresh legs constantly entering the fray. Jordan Hawkins is the second leading scorer for the Huskies, but he had the stomach flu last night and his minutes got limited, as was his game in the first half. But the sharpshooter known as Hawk did warm up in the second half, though, just as Miami was starting to make a run to try and tie the game. Big man Adama Sanogo, what can you say? He was nearly unstoppable last night and has been for the majority of the season. When Sanogo needed a blow, Hurley turned to 7-foot 2-inch sophomore Donovan Clingan, who delivered on both sides of the ball, especially on defense. Alex Caravan, Tristan Newton, Joey Calcaterra, all these guys add long-distance threats along with Hawkins, while unicorns like Andre Jackson and Naheem Allen deliver valuable minutes while shooting and attacking the glass. Their average margin of victory of 20.6 points in this tournament is mind-boggling, but they'll need all their resources tomorrow night against San Diego State. The Aztecs knocked out College of Charleston, Furman, Alabama, and Creighton to reach the Final Four and got that buzzer beater from Lamont Butler last night to knock out Florida Atlantic in one of the best tournament games you'll ever see. Head coach Brian Dutcher has built a defensive-minded machine with athletes whose defensive attack is smothering. Last night, Florida Atlantic came out hot, shooting over 60% from 3 in the first half, which is very rare for San Diego State opponents, and that put the Aztecs in an early hole as FAU went up by 14 points early in the second. San Diego State is not built to put up big offensive numbers, as Matt Bradley's the only Aztec that averages in double figures, but SDSU just chipped away at Florida Atlantic's lead and tied it with about 4 minutes left. Big men Nathan Mensah, Jadon Lede, and Agwak Arop go to the glass and defend the opponent's bigs, while Bradley, Butler, Micah Parrish, and Darion Trammell man the backcourt. Add in the Aztecs' own unicorn and Keyshawn Johnson, and you have a team that plays 9 players at least 15 minutes, making them clearly the deepest team in the tournament. I've been on both these schools for the majority of the tournament, but got burned by San Diego State not covering the 2.5 last night and decided to take Miami instead of UConn in a game that Miami was never really in. At 7.5, this is one of the biggest numbers you'll ever find in a national title game, making me lean toward the dog, which I'm usually apt to do so. With numbers like this, how can you not take San Diego State in the under in a defensive slugfest? Well, it's simple. There are teams of destiny, and while San Diego State thinks that they can lay claim to being one, UConn is just simply on a roll right now that's unmatched and too tough to pass on. One of the oldest adages in gambling is to put your money on who you're more comfortable losing with. Let me explain. If I take Connecticut and San Diego State delivers, I tip my hat and say, well done, Aztecs. Y'all got it done. But if I take San Diego State and UConn wins by double digits again, I'll be kicking myself saying, what the fuck was I thinking? So with all that said, as much as I love Brian Dutcher and the Aztecs, who I'll probably wind up rooting for, rule number 1 says to bet with your head and not your heart. Give me the Huskies, lay the lumber, and give me the under as well, since I don't think San Diego State can keep up offensively. So that's all you get. Sorry, but both sides of the national championship game for you to get busy with. Remember that this is the last video I will post until week 1 of the college football season in late August. So here on my last video of the season, I just want to thank all of my viewers once again for being so loyal, all of you freaking scumbags, not only this season, but for all 3 so far, and hopefully we can spread the word, get more eyeballs and viewers next season. Until then, make sure you remember that if you want to win big, you got to bet big. You can't go broke taking a profit. Scared money don't make money. For me, the action is the juice. There's money on the streets that can't be ignored. And finally, good luck to you.